Live from New York, it's the show that is wishing you a happy Veterans Day. It's First Things First. Today, last two games, Kirk Cousins was like, sure, cook you guys up. And then Joe Burrow had a career-high completion percentage. So that's where the 49ers defense is right now. Nick, will the trumpet sound on Monday for the Prince?
Absolutely. And for the Jags as a whole, for Duval County, for those great people of northern Florida, and the story on Monday across all sports television will be, is it time to take the Jags seriously? And the answer is no. That was a month ago, but I'm glad people will be catching up. Bruce said some things yesterday that he was just flooding the zone with what I consider misinformation that I almost didn't know how to respond to it. One of the things Bruce said was that they have a bad pass defense.
I said they give up the second most yards.
Yes,
they don't give up a lot of touchdowns.
They have an excellent pass defense.
Excellent?
I'll show you in a moment, but they give up a 79 passer rating. They have as many picks as they have touchdowns allowed. The reason teams get a lot of yards against the Jags is because the Jags have done an excellent job the last month and a half of building leads and playing soft defense. The Jags have, up to this point in the season, the second most productive running back in the NFL. It's Christian McCaffrey, and then it's Travis Etienne. And then they also have a quarterback who, while he has not been princely in the red zone, and he needs to do a better job on ball security when it comes to fumbles, not picks, but fumbles.
Sure.
His big-time throws are second to none in the league. So I'll show you both of those. So as far as the team goes, here's how they rank in some significant categories. Blowout wins, tied for second. Good wins, tied for second. Brew likes points per game. Top 10 defense in points per game. Takeaway, they're first. As far as rushing defense, they're good. Third down, which is wildly important. Opponent passer rating, as I mentioned, 79. And then there's Trevor, who Brew was calling a game manager yesterday. Here's where he ranks on what I would call the wow throws. Now, he has not been perfect this year, and I'm not denying that. The red zone stuff is real, and the fumbling has been a problem, and that needs to be cleaned up. But this Jags team is about to win its sixth straight game. No team in the league has gone on a longer winning streak. 4 of those 6 games will be against teams above 500. They will have won on this winning streak. 3 games already have been away from home, and so there's a level, or 4 games, pardon me, away from home, unless you consider, England their second home.
It is. Yeah.
So I don't know I don't know why they're 3-point dogs. And I don't know why you guys are so confident the Niners are going to win.
I will say to you that it is a bit insulting to them that they are dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not only a game in Jacksonville, but it's a game, that early game where a West Coast team comes all the way to East Coast. So it's like 10 a.m. for San Francisco.
Are you baking in a jet lag excuse?
No, I'm just saying how nobody else believes in the Jags like you do. All right, because they're 3-point dogs at home against a team that's lost 3 straight.
Yep.
Now I got the Niners, and I got the Niners with base. All right, because here's the thing: the bye couldn't have happened at a more perfect time. Coming off, you got 3 losses. Okay, we need to regroup. Purdy gets to look at the film and see, what am I doing wrong? He gets to regroup. They get Chase Young to bolster that pass rush. Christian McCaffrey gets to get closer to 100%. Debo Samuel will be back. Trent Williams looks like he'll be back.
He should play.
And for the Jags, Nick, the bye, they're probably like, man, we want to keep playing. They had the momentum of 5 wins. They're playing great. You said the defense hasn't been playing well. So I think that works in the Niners' favor.
Yep.
And the Chase Young thing is big because we know the Niners' pass defense hasn't been, the rush, I should say, hasn't been what we expected. He has 5 sacks this year. That's more than any other player on the Niners had. No one had more than 3. And here are the numbers. When Trevor gets pressured, he is, as you said, Nick, not princely at all. Against pressure, 60% completions, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, passer rating pretty low. You see what he does when he's not pressured. He hasn't been pressured a ton this year.
But so
if the Niners can get pressure on him, and I think they will, That's what I think can turn the game.
And what that stat graphic doesn't show, but to your point, is the fumbles. Listen, the fumbles were an issue last year as well. This is I'm not going to be misleading here because he has done a very good job on keeping the turnovers low. He famously had the 4 interception playoff game that then was the 3rd greatest playoff comeback ever, I believe, that you guys hate so much. But since then, he has 4 total interceptions, but he does have some fumbles. But can we stay on Trevor for just a moment? Because I don't really, you guys know where I stand. I'm not totally certain where you guys stand. And so here's my question. If I just concede the point on Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Hurts, and Josh Allen, and you guys know I would not concede the point on all of those, but if I just concede the point, that's 5 quarterbacks. The next group is Justin Herbert, Tua, Dak, Trevor, and let's include C.J. Stroud because thus far he's been excellent. That's in there. Are you guys with me that of that group, Trevor is at the head of that class? And if not, who do you guys have ahead of him?
You have him above Dak?
Yes, I do, and I know Brew does.
I think that group, that second-tier group, it fluctuates. I mean, like from year to year until one of them moves up to the next group, it's going to be, this year, Justin Herbert's the best. This year, Trevor's the best out of that group. This year, it's Dak. Like, that's what, it's just like the NBA. We talked about it. That 6 to 9 or 10, guys, like, it's kind of.
So you guys are with me that there's, go ahead.
But I like Trevor. You love Trevor. I just think you go way overboard. That's all. I think he's a good quarterback.
Is Jared Goff in that group?
No.
Why not?
Because I think he's in that. I think he's the top of the next group, in my opinion. Would you have Jared? So, but this is
that group is a bit of a log jam.
But
Gino in that group?
No.
But the thing is this: you have him in the second group. I think you really have him in the first group, and that's where we differ. We're like he's definitely in the second group.
Right.
You got him in the first.
Yes, I would rather have him than Josh Allen. I would, and I think that will become more conventional wisdom as the year plays on. But I just the other day we did a whole Justin Herbert needs to be better and Wildes is quarterback wins guy, and then threw out there that Trevor's not ahead of Justin Herbert. And I just don't understand how to square
that. But Trevor's been this year. His numbers aren't great.
But so
he's been winning, but he's been managing.
So I do think that is something where the numbers are a little misleading in this regard. The Jags have been getting out to early leads and leaning on the run. They have, and I know they haven't been great in the red zone, but a disproportionate amount of the red zone touchdowns have been Travis Etienne. To me, a game manager is a guy who the rest of his team kind of carries him and he just doesn't make mistakes. I think Trevor is the one making the big plays offensively, and then the stats don't necessarily measure up to that on the touchdowns part.
I don't think he's a game manager, but his numbers are like game manager. And remember, he was supposed to be in the MVP race.
I think
he
will be after this week.
And they're 6-2, and no one is talking about him as MVP.
Wait till Monday. I bet it comes.
I mean, he better have a big game that he hasn't had yet this year.
He's in the club. He's just not in VIP.
Okay.
He's in the club.
He's not in the MVP club right now.
No, not MVP.
No.
He's just in the club, having a beer.
Just hanging out?
Yeah. Okay. That's it. But there's a lot of
guys hanging out.
Yeah, just hanging out.
Brock is hanging out.
No, he's not.
Brock is hanging out.
Brock got asked to leave.
Brew, you are the facts guy on the show. Nick, you also have coaching analysis, but just in general, the way that we kind of show.
No explanation.
Okay. First 5 games. I mean, the guy was out here like LeVar Ball, never lost.
He was MVP.
He was. Last 3 games,
he was
not great. So, Brew, what would a loss mean for Purdy? Just play with us in the sandbox of, if he lost, what would happen?
Isn't it amazing? Wiles has just completely distanced himself
I'm just
from
the host.
I'm the neutral completely bailed on Brock Purdy.
Don't.
I was a little stronger on him than you, but you were there. You were in the sandbox with me.
You were the captain of the ship, and he was your first mate.
He was right there. I was the skipper. You were Gilligan.
Exactly.
All right? That's an old reference. Y'all weren't even born, I don't think. Nothing.
Was I the professor?
Nothing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there any evidence that Kyle Shanahan and George Kittle and Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey are down on Brock Purdy? That they're starting to question him?
I mean, there's evidence that.
Hold on, Brew.
No, I'm serious.
Brew, but
hold on. Here's my answer. Nothing tangible is going to happen.
Okay.
Now, the bench Brock brigade led by Nick Wright, and you're starting to be up in there too.
I did make a graphic. I did ask Dusty to make a
You've left
graphic.
this line and gone into that line.
Show the graphic.
They will be excited.
Well,
they will be making noise.
If it happened, bro, future things.
Is this your Monday morning headline?
No, it's not. I just had Dusty kind of just floated out there. Is it time for Darnold? I know there's not a lot of Brock Purdy negativity coming out of San Francisco.
That's my point.
Well, they did call Sam Darnold Steve Young.
But here's the thing.
Brew, why do you care so much about what the Tampa brass said about Kyle Trask and nothing about what the Niners brass said about Sam Darnold?
Because Sam Darnold is 26 years old. Steve Young was 30.
Oh, he needs to be older.
Steve Young was 30 when he started starting. So my point is, Darnold, you know how bad Darnold's numbers have been. You know how bad Darnold's career has been. Brock Purdy will have to fall off hugely for them to go to Darnold. Now, let me just finish this quickly.
Apologies.
He does need to play well. But if he plays well and they lose a shootout, 34-31,
that'll be fine.
There's no issues. If he plays poorly and they win, again, I know some people will be still having him on the hot seat. Oh, he's got to. I just don't think Shanahan or any of those guys are theirs. That's why I said nothing.
Okay.
I know there'll be noise. It's like Dak. There's noise about Dak. Oh, there'll be noise, but he's not going to be in danger of getting benched.
Brew, which is they get beat soundly because he turns the ball over again a bunch.
He won't get benched.
You're fully confident he's the starter all year?
Well, no, I'm saying he wouldn't get benched the following week. If he keeps playing poorly, we talked about that before. So, he hasn't had enough of a track record where he can withstand several weeks of interceptions.
You are far more down on Sam Darnold than you were a few weeks ago when we talked about him, which is odd because he hasn't played since then.
All I said is he's better than Trey Lance. That's it.
No, but so listen, I think there will be a real discussion about should they bench Brock if that happens, and I think that would be foolish because we know Darnold can't play. We know he can't play. The discussion that should be had if he plays poorly and it looks like once again the Niners have a Super Bowl caliber team, but the quarterback is going to hold them back, is the discussion that we never had in the midst of it, which is what a debacle the Trey Lance situation was.
Sure.
Because if you remember, Brew, when we discussed it about this team trading 3 first-round picks for a player they gave 3.5 starts to, and that was it, and then moving on and using that capital. What you said and what everyone said is, well, they've gotten a pass because they got the value in Purdy. Because the franchise quarterback they needed so badly, what they have in Brock Purdy, so it's fine. If he ends up being fringe benchable for Sam Darnold, then we have to revisit the conversation that any other GM and front office in the league we would have been having about, which is, what a disaster. You had the opportunity. You had so many possible paths. Stay where you are and draft Micah Parsons. Do Mac Jones, who the coach reportedly is the one they wanted. All these possible options, or stick through the tough times, the potential tough times with the kid you drafted third overall.
They're ready to win.
And
so if he
right, exactly. The problem is they were ready to win.
This still doesn't mean Trey Lance is good.
No,
if Purdy ends up turning into a pumpkin,
maybe you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. No, I'm not arguing that Trey Lance is good. I am arguing that they spent a massive amount of capital on a player.
Yeah, they screwed up.
And then, without giving that player, I would say, ample opportunity to show whether or not it was worth it or not. It was trending in the wrong direction. They cut the cord because don't worry, we have it solved. If it turns out they have it far, far from solved, that then rears its head again.
Can I have a question real quick? Yeah. The narrative that they're just a quarterback away, and you know the cap better than I do, is that fair that because they have so many superstars, but they're allowed to have the superstars on the team because they're paying the quarterback $800,000? It's like, turns out when we have all these guys making $30 million, we can't have a quarterback. Like, yeah, no kidding, because you have Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, well, except for the
Debo
fact that they're still on the hook Trey Lance was not making $800,000, he was making $4.5 million. Like, yes, you do need to have a quarterback on a rookie pay scale for this thing to work, but they spent real money on Darnold. You know what I mean? Not tens of millions of dollars, but $5 million bucks. So no, they would not have the same exact team. They're actually $40 million under this year's cap, oddly.
I just have no idea.
And just because of how they've structured the contracts, they really come into play next
Chase
year.
Young, still $40 million.
Yeah.
I will say this one. This is the perfect game for Purdy to come back because we know his problem has been he's turning the ball over in interceptions. And Jacksonville's second in the league in interceptions. So this is a good test for him. I mean, I don't mean it's easy. I mean, it's a test. Like, this is what you want to find out is what's he made of.
It could be
how
the worst possible.
Well, it could. If he's not that good, he's not that good. But I'm saying this is a good test for him and for the Niners to see what he's made of. I wouldn't call it
a perfect game. I'd call it a good test.
It's a good test. Yeah.
All right, we know the 49ers, if the 49ers win, we'll all go back to saying they're back on track. And they are in first place. We would, if they won. You wouldn't?
Go ahead.
Okay, they're in first place. But with a win, Jacksonville would move to 7-2. Would the winner of this game be considered a top-tier contender?
Unless you are hopelessly biased, whoever wins this game must be considered a top-tier contender. Right now, the top tier, I think we agree, Brew, is and forget the order. These are the team: Kansas City, Philly, Cincy, and Baltimore. I think that is right now the top tier. If the Jags get to 7-2 with one of their losses coming against another one of those contenders, a one-score game, and then the one hiccup game that seemingly every team in the league's had this year. Right. You know what I mean? That now doesn't even look as bad. Lost to Houston all of a sudden doesn't look quite as bad. Mm-hmm. And I will show you this stat that Josh cooked up that I thought was rather intriguing. Doug Peterson threw 8 games with the 17 Eagles versus the 23 Jags. 17 Eagles had a young quarterback on a rookie contract who was playing that was Carson Wentz. He got hurt, obviously, by the end of the year. And they end up winning the Super Bowl. And the opponent's points per game are identical. Turnovers, you guys can see. Read it for yourself. The Niners get to say this on the flip side if they win. When we're healthy, we don't lose.
Yep.
Instead of being like we had a Brock Purdy problem, they can say, whether I believe it or not, we had an injury problem. Right. Now we're back to full strength. We went across the country and won. So, yes, whoever wins this game joins that top group, in my opinion.
I'm going to be honest. Right now, I still have the Niners in that top tier.
Wow.
Now, if they lose this game badly, then you have to, that'll give me some pause. Or even if they just lose, this will be 4 straight. You're coming off a bye. You have to really say, okay, are they as good as I thought? You don't want to lose 3 straight, but I'm just saying that hasn't, to me, made me take them out of the top tier. Okay. So I still got them. Jacksonville, it has to be very impressive for me to put them with Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Kansas City. I still think they're close.
If they beat the 49ers?
The offense the offense is not doing it for me yet. Their quarterback has been managing the game.
The 49ers are here, and the team that beat them doesn't get to take their spot.
We do that all the time.
Not me. For me, it's like a heavyweight championship.
So Kansas City is...
No,
I'm just saying.
Drew, what we don't do often, you're right that the head-to-head is not everything. But what we don't often do is if the team has a head-to-head victory and is 2 games better in the standings, then say that this team...
I don't think Jacksonville is as good as Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Kansas City.
Well, you think
now,
they're better
if they beat them handily, that will make me rethink it. But no,
now, Brew, you said the Niners are in the top tier.
Yes.
If the Jags beat them, you're saying the Niners spot in the tier just goes vacant rather than the 7-2 team on a 6-game winning streak taking it?
Yeah, probably. You didn't move on Baltimore after they blasted Detroit, that you had said is a Super Bowl contender, or Seattle.
Yes, I did. I just had them in the top tier.
Well, you've had them 4th in that. Yesterday, you had Jacksonville ahead of them.
What I said was as far as for Baltimore, the chances of winning the Super Bowl or getting to the Super Bowl, I had Jacksonville ahead of them because of the path.
Right, you had them 4th in the AFC.
Right, because of the path that they would have to take and the path I think Jags are going to take. But I don't question whether or not they're a top-tier team. This is, for some reason, and I don't know it, there is a level of, I understand maybe thinking I've overrated the Trevor Lawrence. That's fine. We'll have a long career to figure that out. If the Jags get to 7-2
7-2
with a very tough schedule,
I would like.
I just don't know. And if you come out here Monday and are like, well, they didn't win by enough, I think that's crazy.
I would like to see Lawrence light it up. How about that? Have we seen him light it up one time this season? No.
From a yardage perspective, yes. From a touchdown perspective, no.
He's had 300-yard
game.
game.
That's what I'm talking about. You said if we seen him do it.
That's not necessarily lighting it up in today's NFL.
Okay. Spoiler alert, we did book the trumpets for Monday, so either way, it's going to be something.
That'll be interesting.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.